Hey friends, it is Jenna, what is up, and welcome back to the Board Game Garden, and welcome to a preview of this game right here. This is Conservas. It is published by Salt and Pepper Games, who's helping sponsor today's video, so a huge thank you to them, and it is designed by Scott Elms, who you might know from various solo-only Button Shy games, as well as he has designed a lot of the Tiny Epic games as well. So I feel like this is kind of a mashup of those two kinds of games, because this is a small box solo only game. It lasts about 20 minutes per game session, and it is for 12 and up, ages 12 and up. And in Conservas, you are basically a tinning company owner, and you're going to be going out, you're going to be going onto your different boats and fishing, which the fishing is represented by some bag building and some bag pulling, so that is the main mechanism of this game. You're going to be pulling chips out of a bag and then placing them into your boats, as well as under your boats in the deep sea. You have some open water as well, and you're going to be just managing this tinning company. You're going to be obviously tinning these fish and selling the best conservas in the world. You're also going to be able to be purchasing some new boats and getting some different upgrades that are going to be helping you throughout each season, or each month, I guess, because there is a kind of like scenario book here where you're going to be going through a bunch of different months, and each month is going to have kind of a slightly different, not gameplay, but slightly different scenario and market. And also each of those months are going to have different goals and things that you're going to need to do in order to successfully win that scenario. So yeah, without further ado, if you guys want to see more about Conservas, I am going to be going over the components here, as well as the aim of the game, and then we'll get into a little how to play, so you guys can get a little feel of how Conservas plays and if it's something that you would enjoy. So if you want to do that, then just keep on watching. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoy. Hit that subscribe button down below if you've yet to do so. We'd love to have you here in the garden. And also, I will have a link to the crowdfunding campaign for Conservas. When this goes up, it will be available to go and purchase and support a smaller publishing company. So yes, without further ado, let's get into this preview of Conservas. Alright, so getting into a little bit of an aim of the game. Like I mentioned in the intro, you are the owner of a tinning company, and you're going to be going out and fishing by pulling fish out of this bag. There are various types of fish, and there's also open water or water tokens that are kind of just wasted chips that you've pulled out of the bag that don't really help you. But you're going to be doing different things with these fish tokens, and you're going to be handing them in order to sell these cans of fish or conservas at the market. You're also going to be really paying attention to the conservation of the water and the ocean, because you do not want to end up overfishing. You want to pay attention to how many fish are in the ocean and not really affecting the like breeding and the offspring of the fish. So you are going to be going through a bunch of different months. You can actually decide to do this as kind of a little bit of a campaign going from January to December, and each of the months is going to have kind of different goals and slightly different ways that it plays when it comes to the market. And then each month is going to be played in various numbers of rounds. Each month is going to be different. The one that I have right here is January, and it is going to be played in 7 rounds, and the market kind of looks a little bit different than the other markets. Some of the markets later in the year are going to be slightly like more difficult and heavier in rules, so there are going to be some additional rules to some of the markets to kind of change up and give you a challenge when it comes to each scenario. So yes, that is pretty much the game. You're going to be able to buy some more boats. You're going to have to be paying money for upkeep on your boats. There's also upgrades that you can purchase with the fish that you've caught to kind of upgrade and give you different abilities. And then you're also, like I said, going to have to go for some certain goals. Each month you're going to have different goals, and those goals are going to be like a certain amount of money that you have to have at the end, a certain amount of different fish that you're going to have in the bag. The bag is kind of representing the ocean and how you are wanting to pay attention to the conservation and how many fish are still in the ocean, so you're not overfishing and leaving the ocean empty at the end of the game. So yes, I think that is everything. Let's get into all the components here. Like I did mention, you do have the scenario book here. Each scenario is going to be completely different. The general gameplay is the same. This is called the Conservas Market Book, which I will say I love the art on this book. And there are going to be 12 different scenarios going from January to December. In each of the scenarios, the market is going to be slightly different, needing different types of fish, and the setup might be a little bit different. The small little rules for the market are going to be maybe different. There's going to be different finance and sustainability goals. So for this one, you have to end the game with $50. Then there has to be 5 sardines in the bag, as well as 5 scallops, I believe, in the bag. And then there's also more of a difficult goal if you wanted the difficulty to go up a little bit. And then this one is going to be played in 7 rounds. And all of them are going to be different. February is played in 8 rounds and has a completely different goal that you're going for, a completely different setup. And yes, that is the market book there. And then you do have all of the different small components over here. You have the money, so there is the $1, $5, and $10, and then you have all of the different fish chips or fish tokens, as well as the water tokens, which I don't know if I mentioned yet, but these are kind of going to be placed in the bag to kind of represent, you know, like duds, like tokens that you're not going to be able to use when you are drafting them out of the bag. There are 4 different types of fish. I believe it is scallop, there is the octopus token, there is the clam or mussels, as well as the sardines. And I really enjoy how on one side it has the fish, but then on the other side it actually looks like little tin, like it has a little like cap on it, so it's very cute. So you have those 4. I'm also going to put the little round tracker token back in the market book. And then moving on to all of the cards. So you have your little market up here, which there is the upgrade market. I mentioned these are going to be cards that you can purchase in the second phase of the game that are just going to allow you to have different upgrades, different special abilities, different things that are going to happen. They might be one-time abilities, they might be another like ongoing ability that you're going to have for the entire rest of the game that happens in a certain phase. There's a bunch of different abilities that you can get, and these you're going to have to pay for with the fish that you catch. So there's going to be different payments for those, which I'll go over. And then you also have the boats here, which you then can purchase as well. You can have additional boats. At the beginning of the game, you do start with 1 boat. You're going to shuffle up the boats. I think it's deal out 2 of them, and then you get to choose which one you want to start with. So you do have your boat that you start with. Each boat is going to have a certain dollar amount that you have to pay at the end of a round for upkeep. So some of them are going to be a little bit more expensive than others. And then you also have the amount of fish that you can place on the boat. So you're obviously going to have to pay a one-time payment to purchase the boat when you get it, but the one that you start with at the beginning you do not have to pay for. And then you also, in your play area, have an open water card. So we will get to kind of what all of the different cards are going to allow you to do. I also, with this scenario, start with $10 for money, and then there's a certain amount of water tokens in here. For this scenario, I would start with 10 water tokens in here, 5 sardine tokens, and 5 scallop tokens. That is what is in this little bag here. And then obviously you do have the rule book here as well, and there is a nice round structure at the back here with all of the different icons and stuff. So that is pretty much everything for the aim of the game as well as the components. So let's get into a little how to play of Conservas. All right, so like I mentioned, you will start by picking out a scenario. You can decide to do this from January to December, or you can just go in and choose a scenario, a month that you want to play. Like I said, each of the months are going to have a different setup, a different market. Some of the markets are going to have some slight additional rules to them, and then all of the months are going to have different goals and different ways of how you win. So Right now I have January chosen here. You would choose what month you wanted to do. You would set up your bag. It'll tell you how much money you start with, how many things start in the bag. Like I said, this is primarily a bag building game, so you have all of your starter chips and stuff in that bag, and then you will go ahead and choose your starting boat, put that beside the open water card, and then you are ready to play. So Conservas is played over a certain amount of rounds depending on which month you choose, and each of those rounds are going to be played in 3 phases. You have at sea, you have inland, as well as end of day. You will continue playing those 3 phases for each round until you have made it to the last round. You will then check to see if you have successfully gotten those different goals or achieved those different goals, and then if you have successfully won that scenario, and then you could move on to another one. You could play this scenario again. But yes, that is generally the flow of the game. So starting with the first phase, which is at sea. So the first phase is at sea, and this is going to be where you are going to be taking some things out of the bag and placing them onto the different cards that you have. So at the beginning of a round, all of your cards will be empty. So you're going to have your open water card. At the beginning of the game, you're only going to have 1 boat, but after you might have purchased some additional boats, and all of those boats will be empty as well. So what you are going to do is you're going to take 5 chips out of the bag. You're going to count those up. I have 4, and I'll get 1 more. And basically what you're going to do is all 5 of these chips are going to have to be placed on 1 card. So once 1 card has had 5 chips placed on it, you will not be able to place any more chips on that card for that round. So in this instance, I may want to... Maybe I decide with this one. I have 2 water tokens, 2 sardine tokens, as well as a scallop token. So maybe I want to place... I'm going to place these on my boat card. So what I would do here is this boat card is actually going to fit 4 fish on it. Okay, so maybe in this instance, so with my boat card, there is in this bottom right-hand corner, how many fish you can put onto your boat. So you're going to be able to take 5 chips out of the bag, place 4 on the boat, and then 1 goes underneath the boat. When you play a chip underneath the boat, that actually means that it is in the water. It is in the deep sea. So maybe in this instance, because I got 2 water tokens and 3 fish tokens, maybe I want to place these into the open water. So I would place all 5 tokens onto the open water card, and then I would then move on and take another 5 tokens out of the bag. This would continue until all of your cards are full. Ooh, okay, interesting. So, unfortunately, I will have to place some water onto my boat because this time I pulled out 2 scallops, 1 sardine, as well as 2 waters. So I might decide on this turn to place those onto my boat. Obviously, I have no other choice because I don't have any other cards. So once you have taken 5 chips out of the bag for each card that you have, that would be the end of the at-sea phase. Moving on to the inland phase, this is when you will decide what you want to do with the fish that you have caught. So in this instance, with my 1 boat here, I have caught 2 scallops and 1 sardine. So I might decide that I want to... Let's see what I have here. I could exchange, so I could exchange 2 scallops. You have your little market here, and different spaces on the market are going to require different fish. So you have 1 sardine you can change or sell for $1. That's like a first row here. You have 1 scallop you can sell for $2. You have a row of that. And then you have that you can sell 2 scallops for $4 or 2 sardines for $3. There's a full row for that, and as you do move up, they do get more and more expensive. Then you also have that you can sell 3 of a certain thing, so 3 scallops or 3 sardines for even more money. And basically, once you have covered up a spot on this market, you cannot use that spot again. So I do have 2 scallops here, so I actually might want to flip this over to the canned side, denoting that I'm selling these as canned scallops. And then I would place these 2 canned scallops on this space here, and that would denote that I would make $4 for that. So I would take $4 for selling those scallops. And I do quickly want to mention that the example that I gave of me selling these 2 scallops to the market, the only rule for this market in January is that the things do have to be sold from left to right. So I would have already had to have sold 2 sardine cans in order to have sold those 2 scallop cans. So I just will mention that I have added the 2. So in this situation, just imagine that I would have already fulfilled that first selling there in order to do the next one. And then I actually have 1 sardine left here. So what I could do with this is I could actually purchase an upgrade. So in the inland phase, you can sell to the market, or you can spend your money to purchase a new boat, or you can spend your other fish that you do not sell in the market to purchase an upgrade. So with these upgrades, they're going to have different prices. So this one here in the top left-hand corner is just needing 1 of any fish. So I could actually hand in this 1 sardine to pay for this upgrade card here called Dual Propellers. So this is going to be, if you draw 4 or more water tokens in a single draw, you may place them back in the bag and redraw once. So that kind of gives a little bit of mitigation to your bag pulls. So I could purchase that with my 1 sardine and place it off to the side so that I knew that I had that upgrade for the rest of the game. Additionally, you also have some upgrades that are going to cost 2 of the same fish. That's what this one is here. And then you also have 2 of different types of fish. So those would be some different upgrades that you could purchase. And once you have purchased something, even if I maybe decided I do have $14 here, so I could actually decide to purchase another boat as well if I wanted. We have this boat here, which does cost $7 up front, but it's really important to note the upkeep cost, because when you do have an upkeep cost for a boat, you do have to pay this at the end of every single round, so you do have to have the money in order to pay the upkeep costs. But this boat here is actually 0 upkeep, so I might actually decide to spend my $7 and purchase this boat here, which I will then put in my play area. And that would be the end of the inland phase. When you do purchase boats or when you do purchase upgrades, they do not refill until the next phase that we're going to get into, which is the end of day phase. All right, so moving into the end of day phase. So this is a little bit of an upkeep phase, if you will. But basically, if I had any fish that I did not use that were on boats, which I will say that you most likely will always want to use all of your fish, but if there's a fish that you can't use, it unfortunately does get discarded back to the general supply. If there are any water tokens that are left on the boats, which I did have 1, that would go back into the bag. I don't know if maybe there are some upgrade cards that do allow you to get rid of water tokens because they are just kind of there to get in your way. But yes, you would take those off, and then we would move into kind of refreshing the market. So you can decide to just flip over a new card if you did purchase an upgrade card or a boat card. You can also decide to completely wipe the market and put out 3 new ones. So instead, I could have decided to get rid of these 2, discard these 2 boats in order to get 3 new boats. Maybe if I didn't want the boats that were already out. That doesn't cost anything. You can just decide to do that round per round. You would then move into your boat upkeep. So you would look at each of your boats that you have purchased and pay whatever you need for the upkeep. Like I mentioned, the one that I did purchase here has a $0 amount upkeep, but the initial first boat that I had on this game does have a $2 upkeep. So I would have to spend the $2 to pay for the upkeep on that boat. You would then move into the last big thing of the round, and that is the fish spawning. So this is actually very important because this is going to be the way that you're going to build up your bag. So this is how you're going to get more fish into your bag so that when you are pulling in subsequent rounds, you are going to be pulling more fish and then going to be able to have different fish left over in your bag. So you're going to be able to kind of get more fish into the ocean and allow the fish to kind of flourish in the ocean. And then that's actually going to allow you to sell more fish at the market, get more money, and ultimately get those goals that you're trying to get at the end of the game. So going into the fish spawning, basically what you're going to do is you're going to look at your open water card, and you're also going to look at any fish that you have under your boats. So like I mentioned in the at sea phase, when you pull those 5 chips and you are placing them on a boat card, you are deciding which of those 5 you want to put on your boat. With this one here, I can put 3 chips onto my boat, and then whatever is left over, I can put below the boat. So you might actually want to decide to put some of those fish back in the water in order to have them spawn in the end of day phase. So you're going to look under your boats. If you have any of the water tokens under your boats, those don't do anything. But you're also going to look at the open water card as well. So then you will look at different fish tokens. And if there are 2 or more fish tokens, those fish, that type of fish is going to spawn. So in this instance, unfortunately, I only have 1 scallop token, so that's not going to spawn any more fish. But I do have 2 of these sardines. So if there are 2, that will then allow you to spawn 1 additional sardine. If you had 3, that would then give you another additional. So you would make 1 for 2, 2 for 3, 3 for 4, 4 for 5. That is kind of how the spawning works. So the more of one type that you have, the more that it is going to spawn. And then all of those are going to be added back into the bag. So you are going to add these water tokens back into the bag. You are going to add this single scallop token. It may not be spawning you more scallops, but you still do get this scallop back into the bag. And then because we had those 2 sardines, they are going to spawn 1 additional sardine, and those 3 sardines are then going to be placed back in your bag as well. So that is how the fish spawning phase would work. Once you have finished all of that, everything is back in your bag. You would then move to the next round. If it was the last round, you would then move into the scoring and goal round. You would then look to see if you had the specific things achieved. So in this instance, if it was the last round and I had $50 as well as 5 sardines and 5 scallops in my bag, I would successfully win this scenario. If I did it at the difficult level, I would need $60 and then 7 of each of them in my bag. So slightly more difficult. But yes, that is everything for how each round is played. Like I said, if it wasn't the end of the game, you would then go on to the next round. You would move into the at sea phase again, the inland phase, end of the day. You would continue round to round until you did make it to the end. You would check for those goals to see if you'd won, and that would be the game. So that is a quick little overview in how to play Conservas. All right, so that's going to be everything for today's preview of Conservas. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, please give this video a big thumbs up. Also hit the subscribe button down below if you've yet to do so. We'd love to have you here in the garden. Comment down below if Conservas is something that you are interested in. I'd love to have a conversation down there about that. And also, like I mentioned earlier in the video, I will have the link to the crowdfunding campaign if you guys want to go and check it out. But yeah, that is everything for today's video. A huge thank you again to Salt and Pepper Games for sponsoring today's preview. I love you guys so much. Remember, you are somebody's reason to smile, and I will see you in the next board game video. Bye, friends.